Big races just around the corner. Newcastle Mile tonight. Big races next week at Menangle. Miracle Mile a fortnight away. The man behind the binoculars is Fred Hastings. He's joining me to have a chat. Fred, exciting time of year for you.
Oh, it is. You live for the carnivals and you look forward to them a long way out. And with this carnival, it kind of goes on for a few weeks because you really effectively start around the time that the Chariots of Fire qualifiers start. And we've already seen one of those. The other one's coming up, and then we've got the Chariots of Fire, the sprint qualifiers, the Miracle Mile. But part of the Miracle Mile puzzle will be known after the running of tonight's Newcastle Mile.
Now, being the big races, do you get nervous? You've been doing it for a long time. You probably don't get nerves anymore, do you?
I maintain, Greg, that if you don't get a little bit nervous, you shouldn't be doing the job. But it's nervous energy. It's not necessarily nerves as such, but you do get that nervous energy because the audience tends to be bigger. There's a bit more pressure. There's more money at stake. And but then again, I really try to apply the principle that if I'm calling a $10,000 race at Penrith or a $1 million Miracle Mile, you've still got to put in the right amount of work, dedication, and get it right on the night.
Your love of harness racing goes back a long, long way.
Yeah, I suppose I was regaled with stories from my dad about the days that he went to Harold Park in the 60s, and he'd talk to me about all the champions of the day and the horses he backed. And then I was lucky enough to have family members that had horses. They trained out Londonderry Way, and from there it was watching the trots on Channel 2, as we used to get in the 70s and 80s. And I declared to my parents at age 9, they said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to be a race caller." And they were flabbergasted, but luckily I got some opportunities calling the trials as a teenager, and my first gig was at Nowra, and it pretty much went from there.
Who are some of the favourite horses that you've had calling during your calling career?
Calling-wise, there's been a few. I got a lot of thrills calling King of Swing. I got a lot of thrills calling Smokin' Up because there was always that excitement about Smokin' Up, whether he'd be the first horse to break that magical 150 mark, and he did. But there was a lot of chatter about whether or who would be the first to do it. And I suppose I took a shine to the horse. But then, I go back through some other great horses that weren't necessarily champions. My favourite horse of all time was a mare called Teen Queen, trained by Brian Hillier, who raced in the 80s. And she really cemented my love of harness racing because I just followed her in everything she raced in. And she was a real trier. But then I got to see all those great horses through the halcyon years at Harold Park, like Paleface Adios, Hondo Grattan, through Don't Retreat, then into the Frosty Imps, the Bundanoons, right through to the Westburn Grants and the like. And then when I got the role in 2009, as I said, I've been blessed to call horses like Christian Cullen, Smokin' Up, Black's a Fake, and all the other Inter-Dominion winners that we've seen, like Gary Hall Jr.'s I'm the Mighty Queen, Bowtide. And I know Bowtide, you and I both had a big rap on Bowtide when he first arrived in New South Wales. I think between us we dubbed him the Tassie Terminator, and that's exactly what he ended up being. But yeah, I've been very lucky, Greg, to see some of the greats, and I've even called a few of the good horses here in the Newcastle Mile in the past.
Now, when you've got a horse like Leap to Fame going around in the big race, do you have to have something prepared, or does that just come out of the back of the head?
I've always tried not to have something rehearsed, and I'll tell you why. If it doesn't happen, you're up the creek without a paddle because you've got this line to use, and if it doesn't pan out, and I'll put my hand up and say I probably had a line ready for King of Swing in the Inter-Dominion, which was ultimately won on protest by Bonsell Benjamin, and when it became apparent on the turn that King of Swing wasn't going to be in the finish, it just distracted me. I have to be honest, it kind of distracted me, and I vowed then, no, go back to plan A, don't have anything lined up. But yeah, I think sometimes, if the occasion suits, you might have something up your sleeve, but I try to just let it flow where I can.
All right, good luck tonight and good luck over the carnival.
Good to talk to you, Greg.